Parents moved to New Orleans when he was just a child. Settling in a neighborhood not far from where Malik grew up, they met in 5th grade. Two kids from struggling households who found solace in each other. Terry was everything Malik wasn't. Charming, outspoken, always the center of attention. Where Malik was disciplined, Terry was reckless. Where Malik planned his every step, Terry lived in the moment. But despite their differences, they were brothers in everything but blood. Terry had the gift of persuasion, a natural-born salesman. He could talk his way into or out of anything. As a teenager, whether from grief or shock, he couldn't tell. The officer led him to a table where 2 items sat burned: the unmistakable wedding ring he had placed on her finger the day they vowed to spend their lives together, and the gold necklace she never took off, the one he gave her on their first anniversary. That was all that remained. The police explained that the fire had obliterated all DNA evidence. The body inside was burnt beyond recognition, charred to nothing but bone and fragments with no dental records available. The only confirmation they had were the personal items recovered. Malik refused to believe it. How do you know it's her? What if it's not? What if? But the officer repeated the same cold truth. paperwork. He made sure Emily never felt alone. While Malik drowned in sorrow, Terry kept him afloat, but something was off. Terry wasn't his usual self. He was quieter, restless. He never stayed in one place too long. Then one evening, as they sat in silence over untouched glasses of whiskey, Terry finally spoke. "I'm leaving, bro. I got a job offer overseas. It's something big in Europe." Malik barely reacted. His mind was numb. Terry promised they'd stay in touch, promised to check in, but Malik knew how these things work. Distance had a way of making people disappear, and slowly the texts Terry did became fewer. The calls stopped altogether. At first, Malik didn't think much of it. Grief made him indifferent to everything, but in the years that followed, he would look back on that moment and wonder. Grief makes a man blind. It strips away logic and replaces it with raw emotion, and Malik was drowning in it. He accepted the truth because he had no reason to doubt it. He buried his wife in his heart, carried the weight of her absence every single day, but time does not bury the truth. It only hides it until the moment it is ready to resurface. 7 years later, on an island far from home, the past would come crashing back. A single moment of recognition, a face that should not exist. A secret waiting to be unraveled, and when it did, nothing would ever be the same again. March 2016 marked the beginning of a new unwanted chapter in Malik's life. For 4 years, he had built a future with Vivian. He was a husband, a father, and a man with happiness. Malik tried, he really did, but some nights he still found himself staring at the ceiling, wondering if Vivian's last moments had been painful. The guilt sat in his chest like a stone. Could he have stopped it? Could he have saved her, or was it simply fate? He never talked about her accident. The only time he did was when people forced the conversation It was the first time he truly saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the kind of tiredness that wasn't physical but emotional. She was growing up, and no matter how much he had given her, she had still spent her childhood surrounded by the echoes of a loss she barely remembered. That's what finally convinced him to go to Bahamas for a fresh start, even if it was just for a week. On July 15th, 2023, Malik and Emily landed in Nassau, Bahamas at Lynden Pindling International Airport. The moment they stepped outside, the thick warm air wrapped around them like a blanket. The ocean breeze was different here, cleaner, softer, untouched by city life. For the first time in years, Malik felt something he hadn't felt in a long time: relief. They checked into the Ocean View Resort and Spa, a luxury beachfront hotel where the staff greeted them with cold drinks and easy smiles. Emily was in awe of everything: the palm trees, the infinity pool, the endless stretch of white sand. "This is the best day ever, Daddy," and for the first time in years, he almost believed it. They spent the first 2 days exploring. Emily played in the water until her fingers wrinkled, and Malik let himself exist in the moment. Just a father on vacation with his daughter, nothing more. Then on the third evening, everything changed. The sun was beginning to set over the horizon, casting streaks of orange and purple across the sky. The beachfront bar was alive with soft island music, the sound of laughter mixing with the gentle crash of waves against the shore. Malik sat at an outdoor cafe, watching Emily finish her tropical fruit smoothie with a satisfied sigh. Then he saw him. At first it was just a glance, a man walking along the shoreline, his tall frame, the way he carried himself, the relaxed ease in his step. Something about him was familiar. Malik narrowed his eyes, his mind immediately dismissing the thought it wasn't possible he hadn't spoken to Terry in years. The last time they exchanged words had been a short, meaningless text. The same glow it always had. The way she tilted her head when she laughed, the way her hand rested on Terry's arm so effortlessly. Malik's breath hitched in his throat. It wasn't just a resemblance, it wasn't just someone who looked like her, it was her. Vivian Cross. The woman he buried, the woman he mourned, the woman who had died 7 years ago, and she was standing there, laughing, living, breathing. And then she kissed him. Malik felt his entire body go numb, his vision tunneled, the sounds around him dulling into a distant roar of wild noise. His stomach clenched so hard he thought he might be sick. His hands went cold, his fingers tightening around the edge of the table. This couldn't be real. It was a mistake. It had to be. But there she was, wrapped in the arms of the man who had been his brother, and Terry was smiling. Not just any smile, a smile full of ease, of familiarity, of love. Malik couldn't move. For 7 years, he had dreamed of her face in nightmares, in memories, in the endless cycle of grief that had become his life. Now she was in front of him, not in a dream, not in a coffin, not in a burned-out car wreck. Alive, and not just alive, happy, and not just happy, happy with Terry. His mind snapped back to the ring and necklace that had been presented to him as proof of her death. The closed casket funeral, the absence of DNA, the perfect timing of Terry's sudden Instead, he reached for his phone. His fingers moved on autopilot as he scrolled through old contacts. He hadn't dialed this number in years. He pressed call. The phone rang twice before a familiar voice answered. "Yo, my guy, been a minute." Terry sounded relaxed, casual as if nothing had changed. Malik forced his voice to stay even calm. "Yeah. Man, been too long. Where you at these days?" A slight pause, then the lie came. "Berlin, bro. Been here a couple months now. Work's been crazy." Malik's stomach twisted. "Damn, that's far. Thought you might have been somewhere tropical. You know, vacation or something?" Terry chuckled. "Wish, man. Work keeps me locked in. Maybe one day." The rage in Malik's chest burned hotter. He gritted his teeth so hard it hurt. tear-streaked face of his wife. The second wound cut deeper than he thought possible because Vivian had not acted alone. The idea wasn't hers. It had been Terrence "Terry" Miles, the man he had once called a brother. Malik exhaled slowly, forcing down the hot rage boiling beneath his skin. There was still one more loose end. His voice came out calm and steady, almost chillingly controlled. "Call him." Vivian's lips trembled. Her eyes darted toward the door, toward the phone on the nightstand, toward anywhere but him. "Malik, please." He lifted the gun not to fire, but to remind her that there was no way out. "Call him." She hesitated for untraceable. A burned-out car strategically placed, a ring and necklace planted for credibility, the perfect illusion. Malik felt the air leave his lungs. He had spent years suffocating in grief, while they had spent years basking in their new life. His hands tightened around the gun. Terry watched him carefully, his lips curving slightly into a smirk as if none of this mattered. "It's just life, man. People change, we wanted more. Ain't no point getting all bent out of shape about it." Malik stared at him,